Mr. O, Mr. Ambassador, distinguished guests from Denmark, and also, of course, distinguished guests from Korea. It's a great, great honor being here. I'm delighted to come here and give a presentation in Korea. This is my third time, mostly because of my great friend, Mr. O. We have created this working collaboration between Mr. O and his company and my gymnasium or high school, Rysensten Gymnasium. I was given this task of answering, are there no sleepy students in Danish high schools? Is it possible? And we'll just change to the next one. And just to give a short presentation of myself before coming back to answering the question, my name is Schultz, and I am the head of what we call the Global Citizenship Program at Rysensten High School. I'm also a teacher of history and physical education, which may seem a little odd to you, because it's an odd combination maybe, but it is quite common in Denmark to have that combination. To come back to the question, is it possible? No, it's not possible. Of course, we also have sleepy students in Danish high schools, as I know that you're also struggling with in Korean high schools. But there may be some truth to the statement. I don't think that we have many sleepy students in Danish high schools in general. And there are some good explanations for that. Through this presentation of 17 minutes and 23 seconds, I will take you through now some structural reasons, the idea of almendannelse Bildung, and also pedagogical and didactical traditions. And then I will try, in the end, to give you an example of how we have translated all of these three factors into a whole school program at Rysensten High School. So, a structural reason is that our evaluation system is a little bit different from what you see in other countries. Marks in Denmark are partly based on how you do all through the year. So this is a very, very concrete explanation for the fact that we cannot have sleepy students, because they're motivated by the sole fact that they need to perform all through the year. So it's a matter of their quality and also to a certain extent quantity of how much they participate in the lessons that they are part of. Also, our exams are based on open curricula. That means that we focus on competencies, not reproducing factual knowledge. So what does that actually mean for participating in class? Well, it means that it's very difficult just to study at home. You need to be present during the lessons to actually learn these competencies. A lot of our exams are also based on the ability to formulate problem statements. We do not only answer questions at our exams, or the students do not only answer questions, they formulate their own problem statements. This is extremely difficult to study at home just by reading up upon. It's more easy to reading up upon a standardized test, as an SAT, or as I also know that you have here in Korea before entering university. It's much more difficult to study this at home. You need the constant feedback of the teacher. And also we have many oral exams. So that's a very important factor, that our students, they need to practice all the time how to perform orally, how to perform presentations. It's not something they can practice at home. Of course they can do that, but it's much more obvious to do it in the classroom. Oh, sorry. Another very important factor is what I think most of us will come back to all through the day, the idea of almendannelse, which I know has meant a lot for the content of Mr. O's very renowned book. The concept of forming not only students who can perform as part of the workforce, but also whole human beings. And this is a picture of Grundtvig, which I know Mr. O has come back to many times in his book. Grundtvig was a Danish theologian who actually gave words to this idea of bringing enlightenment to the whole population, not only a select few, not only the elite. And his words in Danish, which in Danish are beautiful, is lyset for de lærde blot. It translates into roughly, is enlightenment only for the learned? Or is it, that's implicit in the question, or is it for the whole population? And his answer was, of course, it is for the whole population. So what we are trying to do through the Danish educational system is actually to try to form responsible, reflecting, and democratic-minded citizens. Yeah. Yeah. So when you want to try to form reflecting, democratic-minded, and very independent human beings, that also translate into how the teachers must act, because they have to see their students as whole human beings. And if they want to motivate them into not only developing in academic terms, but also as human beings, they need to see them as human beings. They need to see where they are. They need to know where the students also would like to go. So that's very important, because that also translates into how much we emphasize motivation in the classroom. And also there's this idea that we have also heard of before, that happy students are motivated students in Denmark. I have traveled many places around the world, and I don't think that's a general idea. But in Denmark, we believe that happy students are motivated students. And we also spent a long time discussing that with the parents of our children when they come to have conversations with the teachers at the school. A lot of what we are actually discussing there is not about their academic achievement, but how they're doing, how they feel about themselves, how they're performing socially. And also a very important fact is that the teacher is not the sole responsible person for teaching the students, for the teachers or for the students' learning. The students are also responsible themselves. We try to emphasize this idea from the very beginning. So, almendannelse, when students come to high school, when students come to gymnasium, they are most of the time very, very responsible and very capable of engaging in dialogues, in taking responsibility for their own learning. But as also mentioned before today, this is a lifelong process. It's not that easy just to say, if we hadn't had the help of the kindergartens and the preschools and the schools, we couldn't do that. So this is a picture actually of our crown prince and our crown princess, both of them very, very nice people, by the way. We had the honor of meeting them at the school a couple of months ago. And he is sitting with children in kindergarten. And you can see almost how they're listening to the children there, taking this, having this huge focus on the children as small human beings, and really taking it seriously how the children are developing as human beings. So almendannelse is this very difficult concept to explain, but just to put it in a few words, it's about creating, reflecting, responsible, democratic-minded citizens. But a very important fact here is that almendannelse is not graded. We don't give grades for that. It's not like you go to an exam and then you see, how almendannet are you? How much of a democratic citizen are you? Try to answer these 20 questions and then we will actually grade you. No, it's not graded. So why try to emphasize that? Well, we think it's important because it's about creating happy children. It's about creating responsible citizens. And maybe, just maybe, the idea of almendannelse is also the reason that Denmark is one of the best well-functioning societies all over the world. And maybe, just maybe, it also translates into how well we perform in the economic sector. Because the idea that you today create or form children and later on in life, workers as responsible, reflecting, analytically thinking human beings is actually what we need today. Try to ask Google, would they rather have a person with a huge knowledge, a factual knowledge, than a person who's capable to think for himself and to create new creative solutions? I'm quite certain that we would rather have the creative thinking person. And of course, there's also the tradition for pedagogics and didactics in Denmark. And that actually comes from the idea of almendannelse and of the open curricula. You need to teach according to the goals. And of course, so if you go into a lesson in Denmark, you would see many sequences. You would see teachers, maybe for the first 10 minutes, it will be a short film clip. Then they will have a discussion. Then later on, they will probably do some writing, but trying to vary the way of teaching all the time. Try to keep the students motivated all the time. That is very, very important, and it's a huge part of the tradition of pedagogics and didactics in Denmark. So, at Rysensten Gymnasium, we have translated these ideas into a whole school program that we call the Global Citizenship Program. It is possible at our school because of the idea of almendannelse, the idea of trying to create democratic-minded citizens. But now we have at the school given it a global perspective. It is also possible because of the open curricula. We can actually build in perspectives of global learning into the already existing curricula at the school. So at Rysensten we have a global citizenship program with a curriculum and progression plan. So our teachers are actually working with two curricula, the national curricula, but also the curriculum at Rysensten. And that is possible because of the open curricula that we're working with. That means that we have integrated courses in cultural understanding. That is quite possible because we can build that into the teaching in, for example, lessons in Danish, lessons in English, and so on. We do exchanges. We have integrated courses in the 17 UN SDGs goals. We have NGO involvement integrated in traditional courses, and every teacher is responsible for living up to the aims of the curriculum. So the point being that all of this is possible because of the way that we think education. The point also being that these competences that we can create from this, that will develop from this, is actually what our students need to be able to perform in a globalized society and also to sustain a democratic society such as the Danish one. And as you can see, the aims of our international program are very altruistic. It's about responsibility across national borders, empathy across cultural differences, understanding different models of society, understanding global challenges that we're all faced with, and creating the competences to help solve global challenges. So this is an idea of not only educating for your own sake, or for the sake of the people closest to you, but actually educating for a better world of tomorrow, just for creating a world that is a little bit better tomorrow than it is today. And again, because of these foundations of the Danish educational system, we have been able to create this program where we're working with 13 different partner schools around the world, one here in Seoul, South Korea, but we also have, as you can see, in Argentina, in Egypt, and so on. And what we do with these schools is that we do exchanges. We prepare our students for the exchanges through cultural understanding programs, and then they go and meet the students from the other partner schools, and the students also come and visit us. And why is that important? It's important for us to learn about other cultures because we need to be able to work together to solve global challenges. And it's also important for the students because this is a competence they need when they want to educate to be part of the global workforce. And all of this, again, is important and is possible because of the way we think education in Denmark. And just finishing off with this last picture, which is from Korea, and you can see here Danish students meeting Korean students. And this actually encapsulates what this presentation is all about, that they actually do seem happy. They do seem happy when we try to bring the outside world into our educational system, which is possible in the Danish system. And it's also that at this point, at this moment, they are learning a lot. They are not studying in books, but they're studying each other. They're studying other cultures. And that competence is just as important as what they can actually study in books. So this was basically it for me, but thank you for the time. Thank you.